Welcome to another vlog, and as you can see behind me, we got the mausoleum up. We just shot the reveal video last night. I'm out here, I gotta start taking it down and getting it put away. Wanted to cover a couple of things on it I didn't cover in the reveal video or in the build videos of it. When I was putting this up, I made a mistake. You notice I got a light panel there. Supposed to have another light panel there. When I was putting it up, I wasn't keeping an eye on my wall. I've got two wall panels that don't get light panels. This panel is actually supposed to be over here. This is the panel that goes on the other side. The time I realized it though, I already had the arches up. I didn't want to screw with it, so I left it that way. But it's supposed to have two light panels out front. The other thing is I ended up having to do a little bit more building. When we first got this set up, we were watching the fog come out, and it was coming out real slow out of the bases. And when the fogger up here turned off, what was ever in the tubes was coming back and coming out the fill tube here. So I went back to my original plan. Originally I was going to add an air assist to help blow the fog out. I went and did that. What I ended up doing was I just drilled a hole just about the same size as the black hosing here, and stuck a hosing down through the hole into the pipe about 1/2 foot. And I did it on both sides. I've got it into a T, into a two-way solenoid with a regulator on it, so I could adjust the power to it. Hooked it up. I had it set for about 10 pounds of pressure, and that was just enough. So what I do is I have it hooked up to a scuba board. I have the air come on about a second before I activate the fogger. Fogger runs, turns off, and then about 2 seconds later the air turns off, and that blows all the fog out of the tubes and gives it a really nice hissing noise too. I don't know if that got picked up, if the hissing noise got picked up on the reveal video last night or not. Now another thing I'm going to have to, it's going to be a change to the mausoleum. Okay, we're over at the exit arch now. Now if you notice, I've got 4 tanks or 4 tubes on the air blaster. One thing I'm finding out with all that is it takes about 4 times with this thing firing, and it's kicking on my air compressor. So I think I'm going to shorten it up. I'll do this when we go to put the hon up, but I'm going to take the tank off on each end, take 2 tanks off so it's less tanks, which means the thing should use technically less air. Still going to use a lot of air, and I'm debating on buying a small air compressor just to run that air cannon and stuff. But it'll be less of a load on my air compressor. So we got that changed. But for right now, I've got another project in the house, and I'll show you that probably in the next clip or in the next couple of clips. I did get finished, and it's the layout of the hunt this year. I got all that done finally. But for now, I need to get this monster taken down, put away. I got a shop to clean up. All the tools and extra supplies I needed to put this up are sitting in the shop. So I gotta get them put away, and I got a mess downstairs because scuba boards and regulators and stuff were in storage. I had to dig those out. So I've got to get the mausoleum down, get the light turned on here. I got a small mess in here I need to get cleaned up, and I got a small mess in there to clean up. And then it'll probably be next week, but we're going to get started on our next prop. And our next prop takes this down here. Metal angle iron. I'm going to start on that clown prop that I've mentioned off and on, which is welding, which I'm looking forward to, but that's going to be next week. Dealing with this mausoleum this week, and then next week we'll get into that. Well, it's Thursday. Mausoleum's taken down. Everything's cleaned up from that mess, both out on the grass, in the shop, and down the basement. I got the shop and the basement done today. I'm running out of time. I've been sitting here getting all my welding stuff out. and was hoping to get some welding in tonight. Practice stuff. I'm not going to start, I wasn't planning on starting the prop today. I need to get some practice in doing this wire feed, aka MIG welding. I'm used to arc welding, which is a little different. So I was going to do some practice, but I ain't going to have time. Wife just called dinner a half hour early, and I got paperwork for going out of town. But I kind of wanted to run you through what I did pick up. I went down about a 90 amp 110 MIG welder. We got that, and then I picked up a packet of new tips, some soapstone for marking the metal, hood, which you need, which is solar powered and auto darkens when you start welding. And then I found out the welder comes with one too, but it's a handheld version, and I'd rather have both hands free, so I like that one a lot better. We ended up with some heavy duty welding gloves. I got a chip hammer for helping with cleanup, wire brush to help with prep and cleanup. Now I got several different sizes of these magnets for holding pieces and stuff together. I got 4 of the small ones and 2 of the big ones. Got an extra spool of wire. We got some extra blades for the saw. And the chop saw I just got done putting together. But it has a clamping surface, so you can put your rod in there or your square stock, clamp it into place, and then run the saw to cut it. And you can set this, you know, for doing angles and stuff too, which is nice. So that'll come in handy. The only thing I'm finding I don't like with it is the base. It just seems flimsy. But it's Harbor Freight. What do you expect? But anyway, everything's working and what have you. We got all the supplies in. Now, Monday when I get home, I think I'm going to have to do some digging. I've got a barrel of old piping. I've got some flat stock somewhere in there. I'm going to have to kind of empty through that. And I'm going to get some scrap out. And on Monday we'll sit here and I'll practice doing some welding before I start cutting into my supplies down there and making the actual prop. Another project I got done that I mentioned during setup, not setup, but during working on the Mausoleum, one of the things I needed to do was I had not gotten the haunt laid out yet on graph paper. I had no idea where all the different displays were going to go, what the maze was going to look like, or anything. So Monday evening, I spent about 4 hours down here after working outside putting the mausoleum up, and then another 3 hours or so Tuesday night going over with graph paper. I got my hunt laid out. Ended up drawing 4 maps. This is what I ended up coming up with. The first one I did, and as you can tell, it's messy. But it caught me with my maze, and I was able to work out widths on hallways and stuff. Anyway, after I got this one done, I went through and did a cleaner version of it. People are going to be entering here, which is the same spot they entered last year. Coming in, and then there'll be a wall here and a wall here, and this will be one display. Will be the gypsy display. So they'll walk down this way into the next tent, and it's going to be the pirate display. I'm going to have it split. We'll have the ship's wheel to the right with a bunch of stuff, and then we'll have our pneumatic pirate and the bar scene over here on the other side of it. And then new this year, for the first time, they're going right into the corn. We're going to have the corn on the driveway. Usually it's over here, which is where my mausoleum is this year. So we moved the corn out here. It's about the same length as years past. Just instead of a hallway up, over, and then back out, we did kind of a curly Q with it. So that'll be a little different. So we've got the corn and the scarecrow prop, which will go in right there. And then here, this is our front door to our house. I always have one panel right here that we hinge so we can get in and out of the house. It's kind of a secret panel. Most people don't even know that panel opens up, but that's also where we'll be doing our video projections again this year. Then they're going to come around and go over here, and we'll have the witch. And they'll exit the witch tent into the mausoleum. And something else that we did new this year. Last year we had a maze path after they came out of the corn here. They went straight across and then down and over, you know, into the garden. This year we decided we're going to take them all the way through the garden. You know, up to about there. So they'll have the mausoleum, and then that whole garden area is going to be graveyard that they'll walk around the outside on. Once they get to this point, it's going to switch over to the clown hallway, which is going to be a clown display. It starts out as the hallway. But they get to here, that new pneumatic clown I'm getting ready to build next week out in the shop will be sitting right here. They'll get out, there'll be another curtain here, and then they'll go into the blacklight room, which is taking up the majority of the 20 by 20 tent this year. And they'll exit the clown in. We're going to have the water wall here, the big dog, the leering skeleton. We'll have the bubbling tubes and, you know, a bunch of stuff back over here in this area. But when they get to this point, there'll be another curtain, and then they'll get into the photo hall, which is fairly long. And then the mirror display will go there. And then once you get to this point, they'll get another curtain, and they'll enter into the spider room, which is more of a wraparound this year. And then out and through a zigzag, and then out the exit. And then we're also going to have the photo op set up out here. My truck will be sitting right about in this area with a dragon on it. We went through and I figured it out by counting all the squares, and all the squares represent 1 foot. We've got the largest maze of all this year, 308 feet. That's the largest maze we have ever done. And then I also broke it down with how many wall panels I'm going to need, 2 foot, 1 foot, 5 foot, what have you. But anyway, after I got all that laid out, keeping in mind where I wanted to put tents, here we go. A bunch of squares. We've got our 20 by 20 tent, and then we're going to have 5 other tents. We've got 10 by 10 that's going over the clown, a 10 by 10 going over to where the witch is going to be, the spider, the gypsy, and the pirate. And then I did one other one that I use mainly when I'm getting the wall panels up. And you'll notice all the hash lines through the lines. This is all my wall panels, all my partition walls. You know, 2 foot wide partition walls. That's what the spacing is on there. But it gives me an idea where all the partition walls are going to be. Like here, there's my mausoleum, so that's a solid line. But when they come out of the witch, there's actually right there a fence that will divert them into here. And then another fence that runs around here and around the center part where the gravestones are going to be. I don't have those marked. I never put in the fencing. Hey, welcome to Monday, the day of the eclipse. Let's see, what time is it? It's a little after 12. Eclipse happened about an hour and a half ago. So my first step was I ended up going up to Ace Hardware and bought some assortment sizes of metal. And this is my first one here. It was about 3 foot, 4 foot long. And I cut it into 6-inch long billets. Did almost the whole thing in 6-inch long billets. And I'm doing some practice welding before I start getting into my good stock here. It's been 30 years, correction, it's been 28 and a half years since I've done any welding. And the last type of welding I did was arc welding, not MIG welding. So this is my first time with MIG welding. And it's fun, but it takes practice. Now I'm on my 3rd attempt here to do this. And what I did was I took 2 pieces of billet, stacked them like that, clamped them, and I tried welding this seam right here. First attempt I did, it didn't look half bad. I went and picked it up. This piece came away, that piece stayed. I put a nice line of bead of weld on this strip, but I hadn't made contact with that strip, so they didn't stick. So, first attempt, utter failure. Second attempt, and that was this one. Not too bad, but it's a lot of little pitting and stuff off the side. Back in my day when I was learning to weld, we used to call that stuff bird shit. That was the term for it, bird shit. So I had a lot of bird shit on it. But the piece is stuck together and it's a nice strong weld. It just doesn't look too pretty. Third attempt, got me that. And that's about the same as the first. In fact, here I missed the metal altogether and went over here. So I'm going to spend the day today putting these together. To get used to using the MIG and, getting my technique down. And then probably tomorrow we'll get out here, we'll start getting the base cut with that stuff and start actually welding that. It's going to take me an hour or two just playing with this stuff, to get it all working right. So anyway, I thought I'd fill you in. We're working on welding. We're getting there. I'm not calling myself a welder yet. I'm calling myself a bird shitter. I'm a bird shitter. It seems like I'm making more of that than I am actually doing the weld.